Welcome to the Korea Pro Podcast, your weekly guide to understanding the most pressing and complicated developments shaping South Korea. We're your hosts, Jeongmin Kim,
John Lei,
and Joon Ha Park of Korea Pro.
go beyond headlines as we explain not just what happened, but also what really matters and why it matters.
If you monitor South Korea for work or just trying to keep up, you're in the right place.
This is the Korea Pro Podcast.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of the Korea Pro Podcast. It is now Thursday, January 29. It's a little bit after 4 p.m., and this week started off with a bang.
And we are back to talking about tariffs.
What do you mean we're back to talking about
John's
tariffs? We
favorite
never
topic.
stop talking about tariffs.
That is true.
This will never stop until we are 90.
And I thought after the 15% deal or not deal sort of anyways, something like a deal, I thought it was getting, it was being dialed down a little bit. But then Trump posted something on Truth Social, which was...
Look, Donald Trump posted on Truth Social that because the National Assembly has not ratified this tariff agreement, which was reached last year, he's going to raise the tariffs back to 25%. And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he also said that without the National Assembly ratification, there is no tariff deal. But you know what? We have to broaden our perspective a little bit and look at Trump himself, as despicable as that act may be. Because, Donald Trump had already raised tariffs on French wine just because he didn't like Macron's face. He said that he was going to raise tariffs on Greenland because they don't want to share their little ice cubes with Donald Trump. The man is just off his rockers constantly. The only thing that he knows is tariffs. And he's saying, I'm going to raise it because I want Americans to pay more taxes because he's a dumbass.
Yeah, it is. But then still, because he is doing these stuff, the countries have to sort of prepare for these unpredictable policies.
Contingency plans.
Yeah, contingency plans, which it's very difficult to plan ahead. But
Actually,
I need to...
it's really not, because the markets have already priced in all of this insanity. As soon as Donald Trump made that post, we saw Hyundai stock prices, that ticker, just whoop, it went down. But an hour later, it just went right back up.
By the way, John is using a lot of hand gestures right now that you can't see, but it's going up
It's
and
not
down.
the finger, just so you know.
But I do need to walk you through what happened right after in South Korea. It's a little bit messy. Right after that post, the Blue House was like, oh, we're looking into it. It's not really confirmed yet. And then there were some reports suggesting that Blue House did not get advance notice. But then a couple of hours later, there was a deputy spokesperson briefing at the Blue House saying that, oh, actually, there was a January 13 letter from the U.S. to the science minister. But this is they said this is separate from the tariff issue because it was about the digital platform bill that the U.S. really, really hates, especially the USTR. And then reporters started asking, are you sure it wasn't about the tariff? And they were like, no, they were not related. But anyways, we got the letter in advance.
It couldn't have been about the tariffs, because if it had been about the tariffs, they would not have sent this letter to the science ministry. They would have sent it to the foreign ministry or the Blue House directly, but not to the science ministry.
Right, but we also have to look at it from a broader perspective. There has been an increasing sign of dissatisfaction coming from the USTR. Initially, it was an exclusive, sounding like the reporter's own analysis that USTR canceled a initial December committee meeting about Kupang, blah, blah, blah. And then South Korea sort of tried to say, oh, it's not specifically about Kupang, but they are unhappy about something. And that something was the digital platform bill. And then now, the South Korean Democratic Party and the People Power Party, they are now starting to fight each other whether...
Why didn't you do it first?
Why did you do it first? Because now the parliamentary bill stuff is sort of spilling over into the U.S. way of, threatening South Korea. And then the thing that also ticked up this sort of controversy at the National Assembly is that Trump mentioned the parliament when he mentioned the tariff is going to go up. He said that because it's not something it wasn't ratified or something.
Which is absolutely ridiculous, because this agreement was a handshake between Donald Trump and Lee Jae-myung. The U.S. Congress had nothing to do with this. So whereas Donald Trump is saying, I, as the dictator of the United States of America, can make whatever decision that I want, South Korea, on the other hand, must be bound by its own legislature. How does that make a lick of sense?
Right. But then what happened right afterwards is that there are a lot of hot-headed politicians in South Korea that are very quick to say stuff, including our own
What's new?
president. Lee Jae-myung said that to be clear, he wasn't referencing the 대미투자 특별법,
No,
the
yeah.
U.S. Trade-related special act specifically. He was actually referring to other acts related to taxes and real estate. But the soundbite was, because the National Assembly is so slow, I can't get shit done, basically.
He said the same today during a sort of Blue House officials meeting where he was really just reiterating the point that the National Assembly is just not doing its
Yeah,
job.
he was basically saying that only 20% of what he set out as policy is passing the National Assembly right now. But the thing is, right after this, the PPP and a lot of media articles were suggesting that this implied that the U.S.-related ratifications or bill-related procedures at the National Assembly was too slow as well. So this sort of pushed the National Assembly debates to be intensified on what kind of posture or speed that the National Assembly should take. And then Lee Sung-nak, the National Security Advisor, and a foreign minister and others, they held an emergency meeting about this specific special act.
Whether or not the president actually meant he was talking about some other tax bill or whether he was talking about this special bill for the U.S. investments, the fact that the president said that the National Assembly is too slow. I mean, has he forgotten that he himself was a lawmaker, then that he led the opposition party at one point? Isn't the legislature's job, supposed to slow things down?
Yes and no. And in this case, it seems like the administration is trying to, I think the audience is largely the South Korean public, it seems. It's not really telling the lawmakers exactly what to do, but I think the optics that he wants to push for right now is he's someone who has the guns and the weapons to sort of make things, get things done. And he's sort of basically blaming other officials for the delay. But moving on from the tariff and the Digital Act issues.
I want to talk about the Digital Act a little bit.
Okay,
though.
sure.
So, USTR Jamison Greer, he's got an axe to grind about this bill. Now, we have to keep emphasizing that this is a bill. It's not a law. It's not been passed. But what's really important is that back in November, the Korean Fair Trade Commission chairman had said that it is going to be very difficult to pass this bill into a law because, now this was back in November, right after the President Lee Jae-myung met with Donald Trump in Gyeongju and everything, that because of all the pressure that South Korea is facing from the United States about this bill, it will just not see the light of day. So back in November already, senior South Korean officials were saying out loud, publicly, hey, Washington, message received. We will just keep this tabled. We're not, passing this into a law. And Jamison Greer is still acting as if this is imminent, that this will be passed into law at any point now. And what I'm sensing right now is that the United States is not even trying to say, hey, your laws are not aligned with ours. They are basically coming to South Korea and saying, we want you to align and comply even from the very get-go. Don't even think about this. How is that how an ally behaves toward another ally?
And also related, this is not about the online/digital platform bill, but the Network Act revision. It actually got a lot of international criticism and from the State Department itself as well, UNESCO, the International Press Association and everything. But the DP did issue a statement about this saying that it's a diplomatic discourtesy from the U.S. government to say something directly against the act that the National Assembly passed. So this Network Act, I did write about this. This is nicknamed Anti-Fake News Act. To be clear, there are a lot of problems with this law.
Oh, yeah.
There are more than enough problems with this law, and it will be very difficult for investigative journalists to do their job going forward. But also, it was out of good intention, but institutionally not very good, that sort of law.
Yeah.
It was a nice little stretch when the president was saying we should remove the criminal prosecution elements from the fake news.
Well, we all
bill
got
and
excited
everything.
about that.
Yeah, but they put it right back in.
Right, and then the U.S. Government actually issued a direct criticism about that, and the DP is taking this as an infringement of sovereignty. And along with this, a lot of different things that we just explained so far, they are sort of being considered as a diplomatic discourtesy or infringement in sovereignty as well. Let's move on to Canada.
In-house Canadians not here today. I'm sad.
But what happened, Joon Ha?
Right. So South Korea has sent its presidential chief of staff, Kang Un-sik, the trade minister, Kim Jong-kwan, and other conglomerates, including the Hanwha Ocean vice chairman Kim Dong-kwan, and also the Hyundai Motor Group chairman, Jeong Mi, to basically sell South Korea's agenda for the Canadian patrol submarine project, which is worth something that could exceed $74 billion if it does include, lifestyle costs and everything. But South Korea is bidding this sort of one-team consortium with the HD Hyundai and also Hanwha Ocean against Germany's ThyssenKrupp for the submarine deal. They're the final two bidders. And basically, it was just an all-out government project that sort of took flight this week.
As far as I know, there was a little bit of tension between Canada and South Korea regarding how they approach these deals. As far as I know, South Koreans sort of saw this as like sort of one-on-one, like this specific submarine sort of deal, but Canada's side kind of saw this as a larger industrial sort of cooperation thing.
Right. So we saw a couple of reports in mid-January that suggested that Ottawa basically called up South Korea and Germany saying that, we want to extend this deal into the automobile sector. Basically improving Canada's own economic interests within its own borders and also domestic politics as well, and also just industry. That sort of brought in players like Hyundai Motor Group and also reportedly Volkswagen from Germany into the playing field, where they are effectively extending the defense acquisition deal into a auto industry deal and a double deal at this point.
Now, I do like how you just said about the Canada deal that the South Korean government is going all out. Now, I understand that the Canadian government is going to announce within the first 6 months of the year as to whether South Korea or Germany will win this submarine bid. But can you imagine what's going to happen if they side with Germany after everything that South Korea is doing right now?
Well, I mean, it does come with precedent. I mean, it's a much smaller deal or a much smaller project and sort of a much more insignificant deal to South Korea as compared to the Canada submarine deal for the Polish Orca deal that came up.
That was a much smaller deal. This is huge.
Yeah, and South Korea went all out, even offering to give a retired submarine to the Poles. But at the same time, the Poles went for Swedish Saab. So we could see a lot of disappointed South Koreans by June. But at the same time, got to keep the hopes alive.
Moving on, let's touch on domestic politics a little bit. I'm sure that our listeners already saw the sentencings related to the former First Lady and everything. We won't really go into that. But some special prosecution-related developments this week. The special prosecutor team is investigating allegations that the Kupang Fulfillment Services withheld severance pay owed to daily workers. So that was the news on Monday. And then the Labor Ministry was also raided by the special prosecution team over unpaid severance pay issue as well. And PPP is still going through a disaster, and it escalated this week because former leader Han Dong-hoon has been officially expelled by the party after going back and forth at the ethics committee because the pro-Han faction, they have been warning the party that they might actually split from the party.
Right. Thank you for that addition, John. It sort of the issue stems back from when the accusations from the party came up about Han's family posting defamatory comments about or derogatory comments about Yoon and the former First Lady. And then the party Supreme Council just basically voted this morning that it had damaged the party's image.
Oh, that's what damaged the party's image.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sold.
Yeah. So that really does put a lot into perspective about their priorities and their ethics committee.
Or their
That's
intelligence.
hilarious. I thought the party leader going on a starvation, what do you call it?
Hunger strike.
hunger strike, starving himself and not losing any weight sort of damaged the party reputation. And there's something we do need to talk about regarding alliance, actually. Colby visit was this week. I almost forgot because of the tariff, but it was earlier this week, right? A Colby visit, it came right after the National Defense Strategy reveal, and that was in line with the earlier national security strategy from the US. A lot of focus on China and maybe Russia, but overall, no mention of denuclearization. And the bigger thing related to South Korea was that there was this line about how US going forward will provide critical but limited support, nuclear strategic support for South Korea in deterring North Korea, and South Korea has to take on more responsibility going forward. And a lot of people in South Korea sort of interpreted this as less strategic asset visits, less frequent strategic asset visits going forward, maybe something to do with drills going forward. And the South Korean president actually welcomed this in line with OPCON.
And all of this information will be sent to email inbox by Monday, 2 p.m. by the Week Ahead newsletter. So if you'd like to know more, please subscribe. Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in.
If you want to know more, sign up for our daily executive briefings. We'll brief you on all you need to know from the past 24 hours and why it matters, delivered to your inbox every morning.
If you want to stay ahead of the curve, sign up for Korea Pro to get a full package of insights, from daily expert analysis to profiles, month in review, week ahead, and more.
And until next time, I'm Jeongmin Kim.
I'm Joon Ha Park.
And I'm John Lee, and we'll see you next time on the Korea Pro Podcast.